What's up, everybody? Great to see you as always. Happy Tuesday. Listen, you're on the Glosso America YouTube channel. That means you know exactly what to do if you haven't already. Hit like, hit subscribe, turn on your notifications, and let's get after it. Hi, hello, and welcome to your favorite Average Good podcast. Call it what you want. I'm Jimmy Conrad alongside Tony Meola and Charlie Davies, and we have a hell of a show for you guys today. We're going to talk about the U.S. men's national team. Obviously, we're in the November window of games. We got Paraguay and Uruguay coming up. We're going to give you some news and notes about that. Our striker of the week, MLS playoffs, USL Championship playoffs, US League One playoffs. Lots to talk about with regard to playoffs. But first and foremost, coming to Charlie Davies. How was your weekend, Chuck?
Great weekend. You know, again, just we start indoor, which is good, big in New England, you know, indoor soccer. And just looking forward to this pre-Thanksgiving tournament, which – again, I can't hype it up enough. Red Bulls Academy, Cedar Stars in Jersey. I think they're from Bergen. We got some big quality players for our age group around New England. So getting ready to that.
Okay.
So the buildup has begun.
The hype is real. Okay, so I my coaching, we won our last game of the season. We didn't win the league, so I don't really want to talk about that part of it. But we're growing as a team, and we're getting better. And evidence of that is that I have, of my 18 players, 13 of them are going into high school. They're freshmen, and they all made their respective high school teams. And I am absolutely buzzing.
Like varsity?
Not varsity. They all made JV. And so,
okay. So you can't get them over the hump.
Listen.
Tony, why?
I'm taking exception to that. I'm taking
Tony,
exception.
Why'd you say that, Tones?
I listen. I played JV as a freshman. It's not how you start high school, Chuck. It's how you finish.
Oh, did you?
I did.
What a story!
JV.
And I needed that.
Well, how come that's not on your resume? You never talk about that.
JV Conrad.
JV Conrad.
What's it, Jimmy? What's it like to play JV?
I don't know. I'll ask Michael Jordan. I think he had to play JV as well. So it's all good. Just two goats talking about their JV experience.
Who's your JV coach?
Daryl Topalian.
Have you ever talked to
Coach T? I still talk to Coach T. Absolute beast. He's
gonna
love that I name dropped him here on the show.
Yeah, did you ever thank him?
You have to thank him ever?
Well, of course I thank him and all the other coaches along the way that gave me that.
Did you ever thank him is what the question was.
Yes, I did. I thanked him. I continue to thank him.
Why was that JV year so important for you?
Well, I got to play. It's better to play and learn than to watch others play and learn. So I wasn't ready for it. And
true.
I didn't really have my growth spurt till about 14 or 15. So when I was more of a sophomore in junior year, and then I started to sprout a little bit. But
I didn't have mine till 16, but I guess.
Well, whatever. You played on varsity anyway. I get where you're going with this. All right.
So, I guess.
But anyway, I let's bring it back, and I just say I'm very proud of the girls and how
well done, girls,
and how well they did to manage the pressure of tryouts. Not easy, and for them to go on and succeed. I can't wait to watch them play this season. All right, Big Tones, you weren't with us when the roster dropped, so we got to get your thoughts. We got 4 goalkeepers: Celentano, Matt Freese, Jonathan Klinsmann, and Patrick Schulte. Are you surprised by? Let's just start with the goalkeepers with you. Are you surprised by that many? And is it just Matt Freese's party and nobody else? Everybody else just gets to watch Matt Freese play? Everybody else is on JV and Matt Freese is varsity.
I think that probably is the case, but I don't think that they figured out who the rest of the goalkeepers are. I mean, that's what this tells me, right? The one that's sticking out to me is Jonathan Klinsmann, only because I don't know if you've been following, but again, player of the match this weekend in another shutout win. Jacena's doing really, really well. That's the one that's kind of we don't look at Serie B, right? If we look at a second division in this national team roster, we're always talking about somebody in the championship, right, in England. So we don't really look there. But they have a chance to get promoted to Serie A this year. That's what that club is looking to do. So he's at sort of the top of Serie B and performing really, really well. Celentano just doesn't, and Schulte, they have had their moments throughout the season where they've been good, but they've had their moments where they haven't been good. So this is Matt Freese's to lose. Turner, I'm assuming that he's not there because their team has been out for a while, right? And he hasn't been playing. And I don't know how Mauricio Pochettino and his staff feel about him. So Jimmy, that was the long answer.
But Tones, to even dial it down or to like break it really down, Matt Turner went to go train. He's still training at Crystal Palace. Wouldn't you say, hey, I'm showing that I'm ready, I'm going to be fit, and to not get the call up? You know, what is that? How would you take that as a player?
Shot. No, that's a shot. Yeah,
Yeah.
like we all know how we would take it, right? Like we all know that anytime you don't get called, if you're a national team player and you don't get called, you know how that feels, and you hope it lights a fire again. But to Jimmy's point, Jim, I just don't know that they have any idea who the three goalkeepers are going to be.
So do you think that? And then we'll get into kind of the news and notes of the team. But Tones, back to you on the goalkeepers. Would you then give one of these three guys a shot in one of these two games?
Yeah, well,
remember, is it just the Matt Freese show from this point forward?
Yeah, look, we talked about this a couple of camps ago. Do you give something? And I said, because Matt Freese is not a guy who has 50 caps, right? And you're trying to see somebody else, he's only got 11 caps, right? So there's a fine line between giving someone else a chance and kind of catching Matt Freese up, because if Matt Freese, if he were to play all the games, I guess he would have 15 caps, right, going into the World Cup, where we've never had that before. We've had the luxury of seeing guys with 50 and 60 caps going into the World Cup. So do you take international, if you think he's your guy, do you take international experience away from him or to give someone else? Or do you say, no, I got to build his international resume a little bit more. He needs to, and you're talking about you're talking about two top level teams, right? Like you're going to the top of the teams that you're going to play in. So that's I don't know the answer. I
think you do know the answer.
my gut tells me that you continue to give him the games and hope
100%
turns 100%. Into the best version that he can be come June of 2026.
And then we're one injury away from Roman Celentano, no caps. Jonathan Klinsmann, no caps. Schulte, 3 caps.
Oh, you're forgetting though. Matt Turner's there. You bring him back, and then you're good. But at the same time, given where we are with this pool, Matt Freese is your number one, and it's almost like that's who they committed to. They've committed to Matt Freese, and so now you want to build him up as much as you can. Reps, experience, understanding with the back line, whatever that turns into, whoever, it feels like Chris Richards for sure is going to be there, but you're not too sure about everything else around him, given injuries, given, guys coming in and out, Tim Ream's form really dipping this year. So now you're figuring out, okay, what does this look like? But ultimately, I think Matt Freese has grown, no doubt. To me, he looks that much more confident in goal. I think he's sure of himself. We go back to that Gold Cup when he has that mishap when he's in possession. He hasn't made a mistake like that since, right? So you learn from those mistakes, and I think he's proving that he's ready for the challenge. So at the moment, that's who they're riding with.
How many caps did you have going into Italy in 1990, Big Tones?
It's probably somewhere around the same, but we were all in that same boat.
Right.
Probably, but I'm guessing 10 to 15 going into that World Cup.
Wow. The whole team only had 10 to 15. That's crazy.
Right. Four World Cup qualifiers that we had to have shutouts. Had we given up a goal in any of those World Cup qualifiers, we don't go to that World Cup. We had 4 shutouts to end that sequence of 8
you
games.
had 4 shutouts.
No, we did. I said we.
I know.
We're just trying to give you your flowers. All right, news and notes.
Yeah.
So the biggest news is that Tyler Adams has been ruled out of the November camp due to injuries that have been suffered. We don't know if it's the really nasty head injury that he had with a teammate for Bournemouth against Aston Villa this past weekend. I would have taken both of those guys out. His teammate went out. He did not, and ended up playing the rest of the game. I'd actually encourage you not to go find the highlight. It's not very pleasant to watch, and you'd think you'd normally see that like in an NFL game, 2 guys colliding, but this was without helmets and not looking good. That said, now there's been a roster update. Sean Zawadski is also out from the Columbus Crew, so you have 2 players that are going to be ruled out of this camp. Timothy Tillman comes in to replace Tyler and Sean, and I guess the big question is Tillman, well, a couple of the questions. Is Tillman the best available option? That's one. I feel like at this point, when it's a late ad like this, and Mauricio Pochettino has shown it in the past, he's not going to call someone over from Europe if it's a late ad. It's usually someone domestic here in MLS. So I guess using that as context, is Tillman the best one, Chuck? And then why only one replacement? And then on top of that, who do you think actually benefits the most of the group now that's it's in place? I don't know which one you want to answer. You can
No,
answer all three.
great question. So I'll start with the last one. Who benefits the most? The midfielders in particular. So Tanner Tessman most likely would play alongside Tyler Adams. So with no Tyler Adams now, that opens up that dual number 6 role. So alongside Tessman, either Berhalter, either Roldan, or Aiden Morris, they're benefiting the most given that now Tyler Adams is out. So you're seeing who is number 2 on that depth chart in that position and who's 3. I think you might see 2 different players in those games, both games. Maybe Pochettino sticks with the same, core for both matches, but I highly doubt that given, all these minute restrictions all over the place. But I think the midfielders absolutely gain the advantage there, in particular Roldan and Berhalter. And then when I think about Timothy Tillman, he is flying at the moment with LAFC because they're still playing. He's playing alongside Bouanga and Son, and those guys kind of just doing their own thing in the attacking third. But he's kind of responsible for a lot in the midfield, breaking up plays and then finding Bouanga or finding Son. And like you said, who's available here, who makes sense from that perspective, that's an easy addition to the camp. And then I think in terms of why not only one player, not more? Well, I think Pochettino already has in his mind who's in contention, who he's bringing, who he has high hopes on. So there's no point in bringing in players that maybe he just doesn't see anything in.
Yeah, one interesting note with regard to Aiden Morris in particular, his coach Rob Edwards is going to be leaving Borough, even though they're currently in second, to go take the Wolves job in the Premier League. That sounds like a dicey proposition because Wolves seems like an absolute shit show right now. When you have a team that's in second and most likely be in the conversation to get promoted, and then at least you have that type of core around you. Good luck with that, Mr. Rob Edwards. Now, Tones, your thoughts on Tyler Adams, I guess, overall, and just what does this mean? I mean, there have been moments and swaths of time where he's missed out on the national team, and let's be realistic here. And this is going to be for every national team going into the World Cup. We're going to be missing 1 or 2 players. I don't know if they're going to be key players, potentially key players, but we're going to be missing a couple guys. That's just how it's going to be for every national team, just to reiterate that. So with Tyler Adams out, this is a huge opportunity for some other guys to step up and not only demonstrate like what they can do tactically and technically. I actually think it's more about presence and leadership. And when we lose the grip of the game, because we're going to lose the grip of the game against Paraguay and Uruguay, who are the players that are going to help us get that grip of the game back? And usually that's in the middle of the field, usually with your 6s that can help you do that because they're breaking up plays and they're also helping you transition. Who do you think has the most of game, Big Tones?
Yeah, so Charlie nailed it. I'm just going to add this to it. If I go back to Malik Tillman in the Gold Cup, right? It was when, let's call it when guys weren't around, right? He all of a sudden stepped up. He took a new role with that team, and he was a leader in that group. Remember how good he played in the Gold Cup? Can Tanner Tessman be that guy now? Right? He's got some guys around him because I'm with Charlie, and you're probably the same, right? I think Tanner Tessman is the guy that you're building the midfield around in this camp, right? Based on who these guys are here. And then the other one that sticks out to me is Christian Roldan. Remember, we know his story. He's late to this cycle, right? We'll call it late to this cycle. And can he now solidify himself as one of the top 26 players? I think this is a camp he can do it in. So those are the 2 guys I'm looking. Of course, we'll get into the Gio Reyna conversation. It's a completely different story. But with regards to calling one in, there's not a ton of guys that are on the list. The only one that I think I could have made an argument, albeit a different type of player, but coming out of the midfield, is Gutierrez in Chicago, right? But there's some word that he might make a switch and become a Mexican national team player. Like there's some rumors about that, but short of that, it's not like we have a ton of guys just hanging out waiting for play for the national team. So 1 or 2 doesn't make a difference to me. But Tessman and Roldan are the 2 that I think have the most to gain in this camp with Tyler Adams being out. And you said, what did you say before? Like, we know, I'm with you. We all know, right? Not everybody's going to be at the World Cup. That never works out that way. But Tyler Adams is one of those guys we're praying, right? That's 100%. Not that we want to see anybody injured. Don't get me wrong, but he's the one, like one of those guys. We're like, man, that's one guy we really, really need.
Well, one player that has, I think, really taken advantage of it, at least in the last window, was Christian Roldan. Chuck, do you expect him to start in this, or do you feel like he falls into the category of Pochettino knows what he's about now at this point? Obviously, had high praise for him after the last window. Do you need to see somebody else now? Because if you really need to start planning, what if you have to get into the what ifs? This is our last window, couple months. We got March, and then you have the pre-World Cup window where we'll get a couple friendlies in before the World Cup starts. That's not a lot of time to evaluate, and obviously you want to see a couple other guys. I think Roldan at this point is a lock because of all the wonderful things that Pochettino said and how he performed. Now, do you give Aiden Morris another look, a really hard look at it? Do you give somebody else a chance? I'm curious on what do you think?
I think you've kind of depicted exactly what he would be doing, Pochettino, in playing Roldan in this game, because Roldan is a backup to what a Tyler Adams is, right? He's not a starter on this team in my eyes when everybody's fit and healthy. But in terms of a role player, this is where you give a Christian Roldan an opportunity to play against some of the best South American opponents. So I would expect Roldan to start. Of course, Berhalter is probably the other candidate in that role. And you say, hey, you've given looks. He's given looks to all these guys. That's why they're in this camp. So Roldan, Berhalter, and Aiden Morris have all had looks. Now, Berhalter and Roldan, more importantly, have had closer looks being together for a Gold Cup. And you're spending a lot of time with them. And I think Roldan, as of late, has come to life under Pochettino. But Berhalter was one of the better players in the Gold Cup for the U.S. So that's the decision he's going to make. I don't think Aiden Morris starts, but I think it's going to be between Roldan and Berhalter alongside Tessman. Now, in front of him, it's the same type of issue. You got 3 players from one position alongside Weston McKennie, who will be in that advanced 10 role. So do you go with Diego?
But just for people that don't know, Weston's not part of this camp.
Right.
Weston,
but
yeah. But I understand what you're saying. You're extrapolating ahead. Yeah.
Diego Luna, Brendan Aronson, and now Gio Reyna. So you don't bring Gio Reyna into this camp and not play him unless he's really underperforming in training. If he can't keep up, if he's not showing his quality and sharpness in training, then this is the last time we're going to see Gio Reyna, I think, in the national team camp for 2026. So those are kind of the questions that you have to ask in this camp. And I think we're looking at a Roldan Berhalter scenario alongside Tessman.
All right. Well, speaking of players on the team, Brendan Aronson was on Morning Footy earlier this morning. Make sure to watch it on YouTube and on all the social media outlets that we have. Big Tones, I guess the question's for you. I'm going to maybe make it more general, then you can get into your specific thoughts. Do you think we play with a back 3 again? We don't really have any out-and-out wingers. So you have a back 3. You could have Des on one side, Arfson or Freeman, or Des on the left, and you bring in one of those guys on the right. We play a box in midfield with 2 6s and 2 10s, and then have a striker. What do you expect us to see? Because this team does look like, when you look at the roster, you could get into a back 4, and I wonder if you think we'll shift back into that, given the success we've had with the 3 recently.
Yeah, well, I hope we play with a 3 to answer that part of the question. But you still have Arfston, you still have Freeman, you still have Serginho Dest. Who else is there? Scally, although they don't see him as that. Oh, and you got John Tolkien in this camp too, right? So he could be a wing back as well. So I think that's where your width comes from. That's always been for me the story about playing with 3 in the back or not is do you have the wide guys that can do it? And of course, we're all waiting for Anthony Robinson to be the guy, but who knows what's going on right now? I mean, I told you a couple of weeks ago, this one's worrying me. Like, it's starting to worry me with Anthony Robinson and where this injury is, because we thought we thought we were seeing the end of it, and it seems like the end of it is not in sight right now for this camp. So I'm worried about that.
Well, I would agree, right? And something I said before, he could be one of the injuries that we have to prepare for if this doesn't turn for the positive. Obviously, plenty of time before the World Cup starts, but we don't want him just to be back right before World Cup. We want him to be cooking and as sharp as possible going into a massive tournament. All right, we're going to take our first break, but we want to let everybody know that this Saturday U.S.'s game against Paraguay. We're going to have a watch along on the road. So make sure you write this down if you're in these respective areas. So in collaboration with the American Outlaws, Charlie and I are going to be streaming live from the Banshee. This is in Boston, 934 Doncaster Avenue. I'm giving you the address. Go over there and heckle Charlie for me, please, and Big Tones. And then I'm going to be at McTeague.
You say Doncaster?
What is it? How do you say it?
Dorchester.
Dorchester. I'm saying the avenue. 934 Don. Is it Dorchester Avenue? I don't know. Doncaster's the street name. And then McTeague. Is it? That's how you say it? Dorchester? No, that's not how you say it. And the McTeague Saloon. That'll be in San Francisco, 1237.
Have you been there before?
I've been to McTeague's for sure. And so I'm excited to get in there and hang out with fellow fans of the red, white, and blue. So make sure you come and join us for that. Big Tone's going to be hanging out at home, doing it from home. It is pajamas. So just imagine Tony in his PJs and me and
You don't
Chuck.
want to see that.
It is Dorchester Avenue, just so you know.
Dorchester Avenue. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
In Boston.
That's sorry. So
Doncaster,
934 Dorchester Avenue. I'm just reading what it says.
I know the Banshee Pub. It's where you go
Banshee,
to watch
Banshee.
all the big events, and Dorchester is an area in South Boston. Dorchester was where Mark Wahlberg is from.
Okay.
Just
All right.
if you learn.
All right. I learned something new today. Also, Ives will be there to be your bodyguard, Chuck. So that'll be a lot of fun. All right, we're gonna take our
Ives
first
is
break.
going live?
He's going
Let's
live.
go. Hey,
Oh,
Ives.
Dang, I didn't
Coming
know.
to
Hey, Ives is
Town.
coming in. He's
the
coming in.
big
He's a real
man.
person. You can meet him in person, everybody. All right, we're taking our
Ooh.
first break. When we come back, Striker of the Week and MLS playoff news. So don't go anywhere. Keep it right here.
This is European soccer's biggest stage.
Written in the stars! What a difference she has made!
The question is, can you handle it? The crowd here feels electric. Stream every match of the UEFA Women's Champions League on Paramount Plus.
Welcome in to your bi-weekly dose of average to goodness. Call it what you want. I'm Jimmy Conrad alongside Chuck Chase and Chuck and Big Tones. And we're getting into our Striker of the Week. So if you're on the YouTubes, we have a great graphic now. I look like I'm enjoying life in a much different way. Tones is super happy blocking Chuck's shot, and Chuck is way too happy to have his shot saved. And then Mauricio Pochettino is hanging out with us as well. That's a great graphic, so shout out to whoever made that. Let's get into our Striker of the Week. Here are our candidates. Patrick Agyemang scored with a towering dunk header in a 2-1 win for Derby versus Blackburn Rovers. He's got 2 goals and 3 assists in his first 11 games in the championship, kind of playing off the shoulder of the main striker, but always a handful. Florian Balogun opened his account in the Champions League last week, then scored a penalty this weekend, and then received a red card. Soft red card, I want to say. It was fun. It was soft. He showed his cleat, but it just wasn't as aggressive as what I define as a red card. So I think he got a little hosed on that one. And Monaco's 4-1 loss at home to Lens. And then Ricardo Pepi subbed on and scored the equalizer in the Champions League last week, but doesn't start in PSV's 5-1 win versus AZ Alkmaar. His current replacement, Gustil, scored a hat trick. So I think it could be a while before Ricardo Pepi is starting. That's not how we thought the season was going to unfold for him. So, Chuck, as our resident number 9, what are your thoughts on our strikers, our candidates? Who do you think should be the striker of the week?
Well, you can't give a striker of the week to a guy that gets a red card, right? So that takes him out of the equation. You can't. As nice as it sounds to score in Champions League, his first Champions League goal in his career, which is incredible, sensational finish. But that was last week. Now we're talking this week, and so the red card takes him out. Patrick Agyemang just turned 25. He gets a dunk. Now, it's a little bit of a tough position for him, given that you got Balogun and Pepi, and now this third spot, which he's battling with another championship striker in Haji Wright for. So I think when Patrick Agyemang has been given the chance, he's impressed Pochettino to a certain extent. It's going to come down to where they are in April and May, and who's been playing well. It seems that Haji Wright is really progressing under Frank Lampard, and that they're competing for the Premier League opportunity to get promoted. So given that Derby County is not as advanced as a team, they don't have as much quality, it feels like it's Haji Wright's to lose at the moment, given his season last year and how he's been able to build on that with Frank Lampard. So in saying that, let's give striker of the week to Patrick Agyemang.
Patrick Ajiman, who isn't in camp. I was a bit of a surprise. I thought he would get called into this one. Big Tones, your thoughts on the strikers? Tones,
Man,
what are you saying?
Harsh because he got a red card. Guy was trying to win a ball, all that. But hey, Charlie doesn't want to give me credit for that. But Ajiman. But I was talking to Des, our producer, before we came on, and talking about Ajiman and the header, right, and the way that he attacked the ball. We had long said that that's not really, and we're getting a look at it here. That's not really his game, right? Or it wasn't his game. And in this league, I imagine if you're at number 9, unless you're really, really special, which probably means you're not in this league anymore, you have to add this to your game. Like this, there's a lot of crosses that are going in. You're a target all the time. And we know how many balls get dumped in the box. So he's adding. We have Ajiman like running past people, running behind defenders, battling with guys off his shoulder, dribbling. But this is the part of the game we said in the summer. Like we didn't see him win a lot of head balls in the Gold Cup, although they don't play like this. So it's nice to see that this part is coming to life in his game here, because he's really going to need it, especially in this league here. That he's playing in. So good. I like the word dunked, right? He dunked on this one over his defender, and it's a game winner too, which is always good. But I assume, Chuck, if you play in that league, you're seeing a lot of crossing and finishing after practice, right?
A lot.
Yeah.
I think what's interesting too is that he's not the out and out number 9 for Derby, who have won 5 straight games, by the way, to find themselves in 10th in the championship. Carlton Morris, who's playing the number 9 spot, 6 goals in his last 4 games. The guy's been on absolute fire. So Ajiman's had to find a way to survive and thrive in the starting 11, even though he might not be playing his out-and-out best position. And what I do like about this particular goal where he dunks at the back post is he's now kind of joining a crossing that's from a deeper position, which I actually think is probably a little bit more fun, because you can let Carlton Morris go and drag the big center backs away. Now you can find the pockets where you can attack the ball, which is what he did at the back post. So I'm curious to see how Ajiman continues to thrive in the championship as he starts to settle in. He mentioned that after the game. He just turned, happy birthday to him, by the way. He just scored on his birthday. But
yes, by the way, I was curious, Tones and Jimmy, given that the U.S. Under-17 World Cup is underway right now, they're actually currently playing against Czech. What, Tony, you were involved in a few U17 camps, right? And then ultimately they moved to U20. Where do you see this group? What do you think about this current team? I know I played with Jude Terry and Matisse Albert in a Nike Travis Scott little kick around in Vegas, and I was like, man, these guys are impressive.
Yeah. It's a good group. They've obviously gotten off to a good start today. They're under it a little bit against the Czech Republic going on right now. They're almost at halftime, but it's to be expected at this World Cup, right? He's made some changes. I saw Chakiris. I immediately thought it was Nico Chakiris, but it's not. It's his younger brother. The whole family has been part of the national team. Of course, his dad, John, who I worked with in the youth national team programs, was there for quite some time, right, as a coach. Where is he in San Jose now, I think? John Chakiris with the youth teams. I don't know where he is right now.
Yeah, Sean Chakiris.
Sorry. I don't. Is he in San Jose?
He's back in San Jose. He was working with the Galaxy Academy, but he's back in San Jose, and might get back in with the youth national teams here soon.
I mean, the whole family's been part of the youth national team setup at some level, so that's pretty cool. But yeah, this is, and keep in mind they're looking to have this particular tournament every year now. So they're looking to have an under-17 World Cup, and this was the narrative probably 8-9 years ago. They were talking about doing this because the scouts wanted it. The scouts wanted it so much. This is a great way to see
identify
these young
talent.
players all together, right? And
right.
I think they'll expand the tournament at some point to have more teams in at this level, so you can see more young players. And Jimmy, I know you were at one point talking about some kind of training facility, right? Well, this is the training facility in Qatar. Like, this is like the dream facility, man. Like, you look at this thing, you're like, holy cow, you wish every country had one of these to train their kids at. But it's been a great venue for the tournament, and I would assume that at some point we're going to see this tournament every year instead of every other year.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Kevin Sullivan's been impressive, by the way.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Especially last game.
Yeah, 2 goals in his last 2 games. The U.S. has won their first 2 against Burkina Faso 1-0 and coming back from a goal down where they made a mistake pretty early on in that game against Tajikistan and came back and won that one 2-1. So it looks like they're going to be moving on to the next round, but a tougher opponent today against Czechia. So we'll see how they perform and obviously how far they can go. A ton of talent in this team. All right, let's talk about MLS.
Hey, hold on, Jim, give Des his flowers, man.
Okay, fine. The real story is Ireland's currently topping their group. Way to go, Ireland. Shout out to Des behind the scenes for having some type of feeling good about their national team, no matter what age it can be. All right, let's talk about MLS playoffs. We'll get into some takeaways. Let's do a bracket. Let's get a reset for everybody that might not be following it as closely as we are. But, yeah, Inter Miami went into their game 3 against Nashville, and Messi just decided to take over. The guy's an absolute beast. I mean, you give him barely any space, if any space, and he somehow finds a goal. No Suarez, no problem. He got suspended after a little altercation with Andy Nahar from game 2. Didn't matter. I guess the big question, let's talk about Inter Miami first.
Yeah.
And Chuck, I'll come to you. Do you feel like they're better without Luis Suarez?
I do.
In some ways, yeah.
And obviously, I don't want this to be taken out of context.
No, totally out of context. Keep going.
Luis Suarez, incredible finisher, right? But let's be honest. At this day and age, he's 38 years old. He's playing on one knee. He can't move. And by the way, Mascherano's been playing him 90 minutes every single game. So you're not getting anything from him off the ball, out of possession. He's not defending. He might be taking up good spots, but ultimately he doesn't have the speed that he once had where he could hurt opponents or the quickness. So instead, when you have Luis Suarez out of the lineup, you can play Tadeo Allende, who was phenomenal, right? He still makes these mistakes every now and then, but he's 26 years old and he has an engine. He just keeps running. Then you throw in Baltazar Rodriguez, who again is one of those guys who's busy, he's active, he's young, he's 22 years old, constantly on the move. And Matteo Silvetti, who I got to watch a lot with the U20 World Cup, him playing with Argentina. He's 19. He's hungry. All of these guys are doing the dirty work. They're always constantly running. They're constantly winning the ball back. And by the way, with their movement, it frees up Messi a little bit more. He has a little bit more room to operate in, even though he obviously is going to generate all the attention. But when he has the ball, Messi, and he's generating all this attention, and you have these guys moving, it just looked like Miami had a lot more energy to their game. And Jordi Alba still getting up and down, but you're not having to rely on too many players who aren't moving necessarily, who can't give you the active energy that you need defensively to win the ball back in transition, or to, constantly create space in the attacking third on if you're playing a little bit deeper, guys who can really hurt you on the counter. So in given that, I think they are a little bit better just in terms of how they can defend and win the ball back, because defensively that's always been Inter Miami's Achilles heel.
All right, so Messi, 8 goals in 4 games, all in a row, decision day plus 3 playoff games against Nashville. Well, that's ridiculous. He scored and assisted on all the goals in the whole playoff series over 3 games. Now I know we took some shots at the playoff format. I will say, in defense of the 3-game series, there is something when you get to game 3 where these two teams are so familiar with each other. There's just something a little spicier on that game 3. We saw it a little bit with Hexeth, the midfielder from Nashville, kind of running his mouth to Messi. Messi ends up making him twice.
It didn't work out well.
It didn't work out well at all. I mean, why would you even go? I don't understand why you would open your mouth and talk trash to the GOAT. I just don't understand how that helps anything. I mean, like the last person you want to get motivated is the GOAT. Yeah, that's just dumb. It's just a dumb decision, and it costs the team. It didn't matter. They were going to win anyway because Inter Miami just were the
Sometimes you got to get tested, I think Tag Seth said, "Hey, let's just see if you still got it."
Well, he found out.
He found out.
He got his answer.
Listen, so Tag Seth ran his mouth, everybody, and he had to make his Instagram account private because he was just getting hammered with comments about running his mouth against Messi, which is pretty funny that he'd have to go to that level after Yeah, what are you doing? Anyway, he learned his lesson, and I don't.
What do
think
you
he'll be
do
doing
as the
that
coach? So you guys are going to be coaches soon. What do you do? Like you're BJ Callahan, and you're hearing all this stuff. Like you see him poking the bear. What do you say to the guy? Like you don't want to take away his edge.
No,
right?
you don't.
But you're like, oh man, of all the guys, is that the guy you had to go after?
Nah,
like,
yeah.
Don't. It's too late at that point. So you wait till after the match, and you said, "You learn your lesson."
Yeah.
You learn your lesson.
You okay now?
Maybe
Yeah,
we don't.
you
Maybe we
okay?
don't do that next time. Maybe we shouldn't do that next time. Unbelievable! What a decision there. All right, so Inter Miami will be hosting, or excuse me, they'll be going to FC Cincinnati. He'll be hosting FC Cincinnati. Let's get into them, Big Tones. Down a goal against Columbus Crew in that last one. Maybe could have revisited some past the chances in where they could beat Columbus to go on, and they end up losing. So they exercise some of those demons and get the result coming back from 2 goals down. Brenner ended up scoring 2 good goals. And I feel like FC Cincinnati's got some good momentum. This is going to be a hell of a contest between them and Inter Miami. A 1 game. There's no 3-game series anymore. It's just a one-off.
Yeah, in Cincy. And I think that the thing is what we saw against Columbus, when they picked up the pace, and Orellano, who's now getting back to full fitness, like he came in the game, they made some changes. They were really, really good. If they want to play slowly against Inter Miami, that's not going to be the formula, right? Running through the midfield, being able to exploit some of those deficiencies of Inter Miami. Although I got to be honest, Inter Miami's defenses look so much better over the last couple weeks than they have the entire season. So they're starting to find some organization there. They know what the battle is. I still think there's just I don't know what you call it, this rally around Busquets and Jordi Alba leaving, and Messi even, you said it right. He took over the game to say, hey, I'm going to send these guys off in the right way. We don't like what happened last year, but this is the matchup we wanted to see, right? This is where at this point, we wanted to see FC Cincinnati against Inter Miami. I love that it's a one-off. It'll be really, really intense. I think if you're going to go, I'm just looking quickly here. If you're going to go to a game, out of all the home games, Vancouver, LAFC, that's going to be a wild one up there.
That's a great game.
But I would think this is the game you would choose. Like if you could just choose one to go to for atmosphere, I would think this is the one. At least this would be the one I would choose of the 4 to go to.
All right, FC Cincinnati played against Inter Miami once at home this season. They won 3-0. Evander scored 2 goals. Messi was playing in that game, and they pretty much had their best 11 there that I'm looking at right now. So something to keep in mind. The other game they played was in Miami, and it was a 0-0 draw. So FC Cincinnati played Inter Miami twice this season and have yet to give up a goal. I think that is pretty impressive, all things considered. I don't think Messi's going to allow that to happen this time around. All right, moving on to the Western Conference. Wow. We have, the Sounders. The Sounders blew it against Minnesota United in game 3. They blew it. They're up 2-0. They had a man advantage. Couldn't hold on to that lead. Let it go to 2-2. Had about 3 chances to win it in penalties. Couldn't do it in penalties either. And they have no one else to blame but themselves, which has got to hurt even more. Minnesota United now move on to take on San Diego FC, who were tremendous in game 3 against Portland Timbers, winning that one 4-0. So San Diego now hosts Minnesota. And you have the top 4 seeds. So 1 versus 4, San Diego versus Minnesota, Vancouver versus LAFC. Both of those are going to be good games for different reasons, but I think Vancouver LAFC is a standout. But when we look at their seeding, Chuck, number 3 is LAFC, but we could argue they might be the best team in the Western Conference because of one player in particular, Son Heung-min. Is he the best midseason signing of all time? He's got to be in the conversation because the guy has been incredible.
Messi takes the cake for there. And sure, you could say, well, they didn't win MLS Cup. I can say Messi took that Inter Miami team that was woeful, that was absolutely dreadful, bottom of the Eastern Conference, terrible. They won Leagues Cup right when he came off the bat. And remember how impactful that run was as Inter Miami all of a sudden won Leagues Cup. And they nearly got into the playoffs, but not quite enough. But in terms of impact for a league, I think Messi takes the cake. If we're going to go right underneath in terms of teams that have really changed from a midsummer signing, all of a sudden they get to an MLS Cup, and I think Jermaine Jones has to enter the conversation because we were a team outside the playoff spot, just trying to hang on to be in contention, to all of a sudden Eastern Conference favorites. And I think Jermaine Jones was phenomenal, and his impact. I think we went 10-1-1 in the games since he signed with us. And then Didier Drogba, that was a massive signing for Montreal, and that lifted them up tremendously in a big way, but maybe not so much as Jermaine Jones, and certainly not as much as Leo Messi.
What about my brain's going to Giovinco. I think he was Zlatan was definitely right. The Zlatan entrance.
But they were both they came in March. They came in the beginning of the season.
Did they?
Zlatan came.
Zlatan's first game was the start of the season. They played LAFC.
Robbie Keane.
Robbie Keane for sure came in the summer of 2011.
Nico Lodeiro
came in and they won
pretty much every big signing was a summer signing, right? In MLS.
But yeah, look at the teams they were going into.
I'm just thinking of people in contention. That's all.
Okay. Giovinco, his first season, I don't know if maybe it was his first full season. The guy was lights out. The guy was unbelievable. Yeah. Lights out. Maybe the best single season that the league has ever seen. Leaving Messi out of it. Messi aside. Incredible, Giovinco. Thierry Henry, I think, was signed in the summer of 2010. I don't think he didn't help the Red Bulls win anything. But
how do you put Bale in the whole conversation? Because he had one of the most. I mean, he didn't start all the time, but he had one of the most magical moments in Major League Soccer history, right?
Yeah,
I was in the stadium.
Impact for that. Yeah, I was behind. I was behind that goal. I was on the field, on the pitch, right behind that goal. I said, "Oh my God, this is written in the stars, right?"
Unbelievable.
Oh my God, that was crazy.
He couldn't play. He wasn't even healthy, so he can't be in the conversation. He might have you're bringing a global superstar into your locker room, and he's around the guys and inspiring, but he's not serving the impact that we're talking about. These guys playing every single match, goals and assists. Robbie Keane is certainly in that conversation because what a tremendous player he was.
Yeah.
Incredible, and a nice fit.
So who did we come up with? What was?
I don't know. I don't know who the winner is. The best.
I think Messi is the clear winner for now. Yeah. But of course.
But if Heung-min wins MLS Cup,
if they win MLS Cup and he has that type of, there's no arguing that. But LAFC were still pretty strong. It's not like this team was trash. They still had Denny Bouanga, a league MVP. So,
right.
Yeah. But everything's jumped. We look at the stat here with Son and without him. With him, 12 matches, 8 wins, 3 draws, 1 loss. Only 1 loss in 12. 30 goals scored. They're averaging 2.5 goals a game. Without him, they were at 1.7, and then average assists per game jumped up by 1. So they're at 2.25. They're only 1.25 without him. So yeah, everything's changed, and obviously they become so much more dynamic. Before you could key on Bouanga a little bit, and that could pretty much help you solve a lot of problems. But now if you worry about Son and Bouanga, that's just a different beast, all things considered. Yeah, this is a great conversation to have. We're going to think about it some more in our last break of the show.
Hold on. I was about to have a conniption. He said, "Don't you forget about Nico Lodeiro."
Who said his name?
No, but he's like he's got to be at the top. He's gonna have a conniption.
Okay,
Ives
is like, listen, Seattle had just fired Ziggy Schmid. They were 6-12 near the bottom of the table, and then they won MLS Cup months later after Lodeiro got there. 4 goals and 8 assists to get Seattle into the playoffs. 4 goals in the playoffs. That is a pretty special season, all things considered. We apologize, Nico Lodeiro. He should have been a bigger name in this conversation. Yeah. All right, taking a break. Our last one. When we come back, we're going to get into some USL Championship, USL League One, and got some special news to announce around Mr. Ives. So don't go anywhere.
You can't count on accurate expiration dates.
No. That is a rookie mistake.
Or the kindness of strangers. But thanks to CBS Sports, you can always count on Sundays with the NFL on CBS and Paramount+. All
right, welcome back in to the stretch run of Call It What You Want. I'm Conrad Dino alongside Tapas Chasing Chuck and Big Totes. And we're excited to get into the USL Championship bracket as well because we are into the conference finals. Now, I'll have Ives and Avi and Dez, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that 3 of these 4 in the conference final are first time ever. So Pittsburgh Riverhounds, who haven't scored a goal yet in this tournament. They've gotten through 0-0 and 0-0 on penalties. taking on Rhode Island FC, who were finalists last year. They lost to Colorado Springs Switchbacks. Cano Smith doing the business as manager. Albert Dequa scoring twice in the last 10 minutes against North Carolina FC. The last goal, by the way, looked very much like TST, and that game was where TST was played at Wake Med Soccer Park. Yeah, not great. You have Tulsa with a nice win. Last second goal for FC Tulsa to push them into the conference final for their first ever time. And New Mexico United came back and won 2-1 against Orange County SC. And great performance. Actually, they were up. It was 1-1, and they ended up scoring late in that one. I thought the crowds turned out in 3 or 4 of these. North Carolina didn't turn out, but all the other crowds were up for it. They were ready to go. And so I'm really excited to see how these teams perform because of what I said. I mean, 3 out of 4 have never been in this position. And at the top, well, I guess Rhode Island has been to the final before, but FC Tulsa, New Mexico, neither one. They'll be making the final for the first time. So lots of great narratives and storylines with respect to these 4 clubs. Big Tones, thoughts on? I know, man. I was like switching gears there. Big Tones, thoughts on USL Championship?
Yeah, well, the Eastern Conference didn't turn out like we thought it was going to, right? What are they? Rhode Island was like the 7 seed, right? And I think Pittsburgh was 3 or 4 in that one. The Western Conference panned out. I think it's 1 and 3, right? So Tulsa winning late twice. That's really, really impressive. Going through to this stage of the tournament without scoring a goal, that's pretty impressive from a Pittsburgh standpoint. You mentioned Cano Smith and the things they're doing up there in Rhode Island. Great stuff. Didn't have the greatest of regular seasons, but are starting to get hot here at the end of the season and maybe get to another final. Who was it? Them in Colorado, right? Last year, Colorado, who struggled, and Colorado won that one in what was a great match. So yeah, fun. This is the fun part of the year, right? Everything's on the line. These guys play all year, like everyone else around the world, and this is what you play for, is to try and win a championship. It's good to see some of these teams, the crowds that are showing up for these games. There's obviously the most jeopardy you have the entire season, so it's been a fun watch so far. That's for sure.
Yeah, I want to give a shout out to FC Tulsa's Stefan Lukic. The Serbian came off the bench. He scored 6 goals now coming off the bench this season, the most of anybody in the league. And he did it once again in the 121st minute, right before penalties, to send Tulsa into the conference final against New Mexico United. Dayon Harris scored in the 93rd minute, Chuck, to send New Mexico to its first ever conference final. The crowd, I thought, was excellent in New Mexico, and I always like their jerseys. Their jerseys are top. But I feel like Rhode Island has to be considered the favorite. They're the only team that, in this core of players and this coach, have been to a final before, and I know that you're a big fan of what they're doing up there.
I do. I don't know if they're the favorites, though.
That's the 7 seed?
Yeah. Like, experience obviously helps get you to this point and then get on over the hump to get into another final. And you hope you learn from those mistakes. But I think what Cano's been able to do, given the resources, given how they've been able to recruit and train. I've seen him run training sessions. He is a great coach. And I think from that standpoint, it's going to be a tough battle over Pittsburgh, because Pittsburgh also feel that they have enough to get over the hump. These are the kind of games that you want in USL, where there isn't, everyone's saying Louisville is going to clear house. They're so much better than everybody. Now I feel everyone's pretty much on the same level. And it's about those moments of, tactically, are you set up to really be on the front foot? Do you have the balance of knowing when to defend versus being a little bit more aggressive? Do you have the difference makers? Are you creating enough opportunities? This is where you and I, Jimmy, would thrive, where our young coaching experience, trying to figure out who's got the edge and how to take advantage of it. But I love this comment that we just got in the YouTube comment section. Am I the only one that just wants college soccer to be bigger? No, I would love for college soccer to be bigger. I mean, we just had Sasha Sorovsky on one of our show, just YouTube special.
Gotta watch that one.
Yeah, make sure you watch it if you're just listening to this on podcast. We had Sasha Sorovsky, the head coach of Maryland, come on and talk to us.
He's an absolute legend in the game, and he's kind of at the forefront change college soccer and how, it just looks for more developmental purposes, competitive standpoint, just a fantastic conversation. So I'm also in that same boat. I want it to be better, and we're obviously trying to help these coaches end up having a better product.
Yeah, we're going to continue to have a big conversation about that because we know how important it is for our younger players and almost like our U23s, right? That's what you look at college, to have a season that matches or mirrors what's happening at the professional level instead of having these really condensed 4-month seasons, which we don't think always helps that, even though we're all products of the college system. All right, let's talk about the USL League One final. So this is the third division here in our country. Spokane Velocity outlasted Portland Hearts of Pine. It was 2-2. It went to penalties, and Spokane did what they needed to do, going in an extra 6-5. They won that. And then won Knoxville SC in the other semifinal, took down FC Naples. Now, we have emotional tethers to that semifinal. FC Naples, Nico Contour is an owner of FC Naples. He ends up going out. Ian Fuller, who is married to Susanna Collins, Susanna Fuller, they are now into the final. He's the coach and general manager of that team. So that is going to be a fantastic final. We're very excited about that. And that will be on Sunday on the Golazo Network, 5 p.m. Eastern. So we hope that you tune in to see two great stories and two top young coaches also trying to make their way and win a trophy. And speaking of a trophy, I want to give a shout out to Mikey Bradley. Michael Bradley stopped his career, started coaching with his dad over in Norway, came back and took the Red Bulls 2 and led them to the MLS Next Pro trophy this season. That was a crazy game. It was 3-3. It's going to be the first of many for Michael Bradley. That goes without saying. A top professional on the field as a player. I expect it to be a top professional as a coach as well. And this demonstrates that he has got it. So congratulations to him as well. So yeah, lots to talk about. We got the U17s. It's all kicking off. But we want to get into one thing, and then we can circle back to kind of final thoughts overall. We want to give a shout out to Ives Galarcep, who just got nominated for a Lifetime Achievement Award from 41 Mag. Now, the question that we want to know is, does Ives actually own 41 Mag, and is he giving himself a Lifetime Achievement Award? That's what we want to know. But congratulations to Big Ives. We absolutely are thrilled for you to be honored in this way. You've done so much for the game. I
Look
saw
at
your
that
Instagram
headshot.
post.
Wow.
What a headshot. 28 years covering soccer in this country for various outlets, including his own Soccer by Ives. And yeah, we're really thrilled and proud of what he's done for the sport in this country and change it in a positive way. So we appreciate you, Ives, in a lot of different ways. Tones, as someone
like
that's also
turning 41 in that picture, like all the 41s.
he wishes he was turning 41.
41 right there
In that picture. So Tones, I think you've probably known Ives the longest out of us three. Let's give him his. Let's pretend he's not here.
Yeah.
Say some nice things about him.
Yeah, no, I would say if he was here or not, the guy's been a legend in covering the game. Period. I mean, think about when he started Soccer by Ives, right? Like nobody was doing that. No one was taking. No, I mean, you're talking about like you were really taking a risk. You love the game. You thought that this was going in the right direction when nobody thought that this was going in the right direction. So kudos to Ives. I mean, there's been so many guys that have come. We always talk about these coaching chains under Michael Bradley and, Bruce Arena and guys that have kind of trickled down under Greg Berhalter now, like that are coaching and they're that tree. There's a lot of guys that are working in this industry, man, that leaned on Ives for years and years to find out how to cover this game and how to cover it the right way. So congrats, man, to you, and long may it live. And I'm sure that's not the last of the awards that he will get in his career.
The media coverage tree of Ives Scholarship. By the way, most people always thought it was Soccer by Ives. That's how it was always, Soccer by Ives. You had topdrawersoccer.com, and then that was college, high school, college prospects, and then it was, if you made it the big time, you got on Soccer by Ives.
Yeah.
And I remember meeting him too when I was young. I can't actually remember. It might have been my first national team camp. But he was the guy that would get into the weeds. There was all those big soccer forums, and everything kind of got directed towards Soccer by Ives. Like you wanted to be in the conversation, and there wasn't always these trusted outlets. You knew he did his job. He did the research. So respect to Ives, and you just feel like he still has such a thirst and hunger to impact the game from that media standpoint and holding people accountable, which I absolutely love too. He's not about some of those guys who are aggregators who get a lot of clicks and hype, and he's like, I saw the news where it came from, the original outlet.
No, my favorite. I have a lot of funny and favorite stories with Ives and a lot of good laughs we shared over the years. He was around actually. Ives remembers this, where Tones, were you in goal when I collapsed on the fields against the New York Red Bulls when it was that super hot
it was
day?
the closest guy to you when you had the sticks. Yeah.
I remember turning to Clint Mathis first. I'm like, I don't feel so right. And then the play kind of developed, and then I was closest to you at the end of it. But I remember Ives seeing me after the game and like surprised that I'm kind of once I got the IV bag and I was all hydrated again. But it was great to see him, and his general and genuine concern for my well-being is something that I'll take away when I think about Ives in particular. It was less about soccer and all the crap around it. It was more just me as a human being. So I appreciate you.
Yeah, he came to Delaware. I'm rehabbing, from my car accident. He comes in, and I really believed I'd get back because I was doing, from a broken right fibula and tibia, a broken right femur. I'm doing plyometrics, and I'm doing box jumps and I'm doing agility. And I'm like, man, if I can do this, the accident happened October 13th. This was, end of December, late December. I'm starting to do all these things. So I'm firmly believing, whoa, I'm way ahead of schedule. I'm going to be able to get back. And so Ives came to cover, and, I started doing light running on the Alter G machine. And it really gives you a false sense of where you are, because you're like, oh, I'm running on 50% of my body weight or 40%. Look, and all of a sudden you go from 40% to 100%, and you're in a whole new ballgame. But Ives came and he's recording, right? And Gooch was also rehabbing with me there, and he's running on the Ultra G, and then he turns around and he sees like Ives recording, doesn't say anything. Ives puts it out and puts the video up of Gooch running. And he got a call, hey, take that down. So Ives got checked a little bit. But
That's funny. Because usually Ives is the one checking us. Fun story from now. Anytime we say something as fact, and it's not necessarily out there as fact, I mean, I can't tell you how many comments we get in our private chat, everyone, that says reportedly. You have to say reportedly.
Reportedly. Get it right.
In all caps, reportedly. We can't be the outlet that's calling this as a source as fact. But I'm like, we're like a podcast that we think nobody listens to. So what's the big deal, Ives? but apparently more people listen to us than we know. And we appreciate all the support, of course. And we appreciate you, Ives Gallersepp. Congratulations on your Lifetime Achievement Award. All right, before we let everybody go, final thoughts. Big Tones coming to you. Now, Thursday, as a reminder, before I get to Big Tones, we're having a show like always, 10 a.m. Eastern. We're live here on the Golazo America YouTube channel. We'll be doing a preview for the Paraguay game on Saturday. But final thoughts then from you, Big Tones. Just anything that you got on your mind that you want to talk about? U17s to anywhere where you want to go.
Yeah, we're getting into this international window. I'm excited about this window. Two really good opponents, opportunities for guys. I feel like, as much as I keep reading Pochettino's experiment, I actually feel like he's narrowing it down. The thing that sort of gets me a little bit concerned is the goalkeeping position. So I'm excited to see where he goes with that, and what it looks like coming out of this camp, because this is it, man. You're going to go away. We're in November. You're going to go away, and the next time you're going to get an opportunity to shine in camp is going to be March, and I would assume in March we're going to see the best team available, right? Based on all of this information that Pochettino's gathered for, what are we in a year now? We're in a year of Pochettino. So this is a big camp, and the type of opponent we've been kind of crying for a long time now. Two really good opponents.
It'd be two really good games in different ways. Where I overall, I feel like we underestimate Paraguay just in general. But they're going to be absolute beasts. And then Uruguay, obviously. We need some revenge after they knocked us out of Copa America last summer. Final thoughts from you, Chuck.
Yeah. My final thought is Saturday night, I want to see everybody in Dorchester, not
Dorchester.
not Doncaster.
That's what it was written.
Don't go to Doncaster.
Don't go to Doncaster.
Dorchester.
Don't go to the wrong address and then start cursing my name.
Yeah, so
Dorchester.
So for anybody who knows anything about Boston, Dorchester is like close to Southie, like Boston. Like we're talking Departed. You know, if you've seen the movie The Departed,
Of course.
Dorchester, incredible part of the city. And Banshee is where this pub is. So come to Banshee, watch the national team game with me. We're going to be on live streaming here for Call It What You Want for this game. So look forward to seeing everybody there. It's going to be hype.
Yeah, 934 Dorchester Avenue is where Banshee Pub is. I'm going to be at McTeague's Saloon in San Francisco. That is at 1237 Polk Street. And if you want to get there a little bit early, our call time's a little bit earlier, so we could probably BS with you guys a little bit before we have.
By the way, you're by yourself. I'm with Ives. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, royalty now.
Yeah, there's a
Lifetime
difference.
Achievement Award winner.
Yeah.
Ives.
You must have some budget. We're traveling Ives, man.
Yeah,
You know, Ives don't come cheap, man.
He does
Yeah,
not
Ives is goated, so I'm with one of the goats. You know what I
He's
mean?
goated. I absolutely love it. All right, everybody, that's it. We're calling it a show. Thanks for hanging out with us. As always, we'll see you on Thursday to do a big preview for the Paraguay game. And then, of course, Saturday is going to be very special as well. So have a great rest of the week. We'll see you soon. Later.